matter how chaotic life can be, if you're not focused on the wall, you're not going to perform well. So anything that you're feeling, it comes out. I took a really bad fall climbing many years ago and have had a ton of reconstructive surgeries. They realized that they weren't able to save my limb anymore, and so we opted for an amputation. I was really eager to get back out on the wall. I always have after every single surgery I've had. And it was a really special moment to put my ego aside and put what I knew aside and get back out on the wall for the first time. It was just what I needed. I got out back on the wall, I think 4 months after my amputation. So I was rock climbing before I was walking, which is pretty funny, but also true to my life, I feel like. I know that my one true love is like being outside, and rock climbing is a really big part of that. And so I know that I was willing to do anything I could recovery-wise to get back out on the wall. So there are doubts of like, oh, will I be as good of a climber as I was beforehand? And all of those thoughts, but I really just tried to persevere through them and knew that if I put in a lot of work, I could get back out on the wall like I was before. I taught a photography clinic at an adaptive climbing festival last year, and that was my first time being around anyone with a disability before, and especially in a climbing space, it was really special. And a lot of them were competing, but more as an opportunity to get all together and hang out. So it came to me as like, oh, you should come hang out. Like, even if you don't make the US team, Nationals is such a fun opportunity to get together. And then I accidentally made the team is really kind of what happened. I didn't expect to make the team, but here we are today. 3 World Cups under my belt.
I convinced her to come compete at Nationals, and I think much to her surprise, she made the team. And that's when she started thinking like, man, this is really fun to be in this community. Also, it's fun to push yourself, because she was a strong climber before her accident. Now all of a sudden she's like, maybe I could still be a strong climber. And she's kind of mentioned how I don't have a lot of resources like where I'm at as far as gyms go, and it's hard to train. Maybe I should move to Denver or somewhere for the summer. And I was just like, well, I have a spare room that I rent out sometimes, and I would love a training partner. And the rest is history. The first time I ever went rock climbing, I was 12 years old at Girl Scout camp. And it's kind of funny because during the activity, I remember my camp counselors were just like, Maureen, you have one hand, this is gonna be really hard for you. You can sit this out if you want. And when you tell a 12-year-old something they can't do, they're gonna do it with gusto. Climbing was something that really no human should do, right? Like, we're all fighting our basic instincts to go up onto these cliffs. But then especially me as someone with a disability, we shouldn't be up there. It's not expected of us. It's supposed to be too hard. So the idea that every time I'm out climbing and I'm up there, I'm proving someone else and a little bit myself wrong. So I am a 9-time undefeated national champion. I've won 2 world championships. I've won a World Cup. But my first paraclimbing competition was in 2013. And I thought, whoa, for the first time I can actually measure myself against other people like me. And I found that so motivating, right? Like, there's not a lot of motivation to train and do your best if you're always the best in the room, and all of a sudden I wasn't. And so I found this community, and it really motivated me to try hard and to train hard. And so my first Paranationals was in 2014, went to World Champs that year, and then I just kind of haven't stopped. It's been a decade now of doing paraclimbing competitions. Most of us are the only person like them at their gym. Like, I'm the only person with one hand that climbs here. So while we're competing, we're also like, hey, this is how I tape my arm, and this is how I do this, and we're trading info that, you know, just kind of makes us all learn better. When I started climbing, I'm old enough, I couldn't just Google how to be an adaptive climber. I had to like learn through trial and error, and it was awful. And I think now it's just so cool that we have these communities to learn from each other, and that means the next generation is just gonna get that much more of a head start and be even stronger.
Once you're immersed in that environment, there's not really much else like it. These people understand what it's like to be undermined by society, and they'll never tell you that you can't do something or not push you to your limits or believe in you. And I think that that's really special. You also have this camaraderie. I was able to meet someone who had an amputation a week before me, and so we have really truly grown through this process together, through nationals, through the World Cups, and that's something that I didn't realize how valuable it was until I actually had it.